Episode 463. Over at Blue Brook Guild, Blue River's expression darkened the moment he received Spring Rain's instructions.
I thought we were done trying to compete with Lord Grimm,
he asked.
That was then, this is now. He's formed a guild, and that makes him our direct competitor. There's no avoiding it. Do you really think he started a guild just for fun?
Spring Breeze Old had a point. Blue River sighed. Deep down, he knew it was true. It was just that, having dealt with Yishu for a while now, he'd always had a pretty good impression of the guy. Blue River found the whole business of scheming against someone who could have been a friend rather pointless.
The three major guilds will all be making their moves. We'll also be contacting some other guilds later, so don't hold back, go all out.
Springlight said his piece. Blue River silently closed the chat window. He sat there for a long moment, then let out a heavy sigh and began to carry out Springlight's orders. First, they organized the alternate accounts not affiliated with Blue Brook Guild. Second, they began gathering intelligence to see how many guilds had lost members due to the establishment of the Happy Guild. These guilds were sure to harbor resentment towards Lord Grimm and Happy, precisely the leverage Spring Rain and the others had planned to exploit. Meanwhile, over at Herb Garden and Tyrannical Ambition, they too got busy following their orders. At that moment, the system issued another announcement, congratulating the Happy Guild on successfully advancing to level 5. From establishing the guild to reaching level 5 in under 4 hours, that's a pace of development that would make any other guild leader weep. Inside the Happy Guild, there was also a wave of jubilation. These glory newbies didn't fully understand guilds, but from what the guild leader said, reaching level 5 seemed to be a very beneficial stage. At this level, the guild could gain something called a Guardian Force. Quite a few people had already gone off to search and learn what this Guardian Force thing actually was. The result was enough to make their mouths water. At that moment, they saw it. The guild had finally reached level 5. Everyone began to eagerly await the descent of the Guardian's power.
We can activate the Guardian now.
Even though she hadn't been directly involved, Chengor was so thrilled by the guild's rapid growth that she hadn't gone to sleep yet. The moment it hit level 5, she reminded Yishu. Yishu gave a nod. However, reaching the required level doesn't automatically grant you a Guardian's blessing. You still need to complete a specific quest. The task is simple. Defeat the demon god of the desired Guardian power, subdue it, and your guild will receive that power's protection. Attribute Guardians are currently the most popular choice among players, and they truly offer the best value for your investment. It essentially grants players a pool of extra attribute points, which they can then freely allocate as they see fit. Free attribute allocation is only possible through the guild's Attribute Guardian system. Everything else, leveling up or getting attribute rewards from quests, gives you fixed, predetermined boosts. There's no such flexibility there. Attribute Guardian grants 8 free attribute points per level to the player. If you max it out at level 20, that's a staggering 160 points. That kind of impact on your power is absolutely impossible to ignore. And that's precisely why players in Glory who don't join a guild are exceedingly rare. Even against a mid-tier guild, not a top one, those few dozen points of free attributes would create a noticeable gap between two players of the same level and gear. For players who don't want to join a guild, that means they'll have to rely on their own skill to make up for that gap in attributes. There's no other way. Even the professional accounts in the Pro League must be registered with a guild in the game. None of them are left floating around unattached. Of course, it's all for those free attribute points. The ties between the professional league and the online gaming world are deep and numerous. With the Happy Guild now at level 5, taking on the Guardian Demon Challenge was the top priority. Yishu didn't try to be different. The Guardian power he claimed was, naturally, the Attribute Guardian. This Attribute Guardian's power is immense. Representing all attribute points, it is supremely formidable in both physical and magical offense and defense, as well as in vitality and status resistance. After accepting the quest, Yishu immediately began gathering his team. The Guardian Demon isn't something you just fight randomly after accepting the quest. It teleports the challenging players into a dungeon, where there's nothing else but the Guardian Demon itself. And this dungeon has a player cap of 20. Of course, the top players like Ye Shu, Tang Ru, Su Mu Chung, and Steamed Bun Invasion were all present. Xiao Yifan's 1-inch ash was still being leveled by a proxy, so he couldn't be reached. Veterans like Tianxi still couldn't join the Happy Guild, so they definitely couldn't be teleported to the guild dungeon. Among the remaining guild players, the only familiar face was Concealed Light. But when it comes to actual combat, Concealed Light is just not your average kind of terrible. Ye Shu had given him some training methods and ideas, but it had only been a few days. What kind of results he'd achieved, Ye Shu had no idea. As for the other players, Ye Shu had no idea about their backgrounds either. In the end, when it came to picking people, all you could really go on was their class and their level. The goal is to assemble a suitable 20-person team, and the higher the members' levels, the better. Sitting at his computer, Blue River let out a sound of confusion. Seeing the system message announcing Happy Guild's promotion to level 5, he immediately signaled the alt accounts he'd planted to take action and apply to join. He even logged into an alt account himself and promptly submitted an application to Happy Guild. He knew that with the Happy Guild's current popularity, filling 100 slots for a single level would be a breeze. They had to move fast. The infiltration went smoothly. Blue River received the system notification that he had joined the Happy Guild not long after submitting his application. Almost at the same time, the 3 other alt accounts he'd sent to infiltrate sent messages one after another. They had all succeeded. Having successfully infiltrated the Happy Guild, Blue River immediately scanned the guild channel's active chatter, finding most of it was about Guardian's Blessing. For a level 5 guild, discussing Guardian's Blessing wasn't a surprising topic. But then, Blue River immediately received a party invitation from the guild leader, Lord Grimm. That's what had prompted his earlier sound of confusion. Unable to make sense of the situation, Blue River accepted the invitation anyway. Once he joined, he saw it wasn't just a party, but a 20-person raid made up of 2 full teams. Blue River immediately realized what was happening. Then he saw the 3 alt accounts his Blue Brook Guild had just planted get added to the team, one after another. One of the 3, however, was utterly bewildered. Upon joining the team and seeing all 4 of their guild's alt accounts present, he was immediately shocked and hurriedly sent a message to Blue River.
Oh, we've been spotted?
The question sent a jolt of alarm through Blue River. He quickly steadied himself and replied, "Don't rush." Then he took a moment to observe the composition of this 20-player team. Lord Grimm, Soft Mist, Windward Formation, Steamed Bun Invasion. Blue River was no longer unfamiliar with any of these characters. Seeing these characters all gathered within the Happy Guild, Blue River felt immense pressure. He knew that if these people went for a dungeon record, no one in the 10th server could compare. And sure enough, these guys were all gathered here. There was at least one silver lining though. Steamed Bun Invasion's level seemed to be lagging way behind the top tier. Blue River could tell at a glance that this was the bitter consequence of not participating in the Christmas event. As he looked, Blue River recalled that there should be a Ghost Blade character in Lord Grimm's team, called 1-inch Ash. But at that moment, 1-inch Ash wasn't on the team roster. He opened the guild member list, ready to search. The default sorting order for this list was, first, by position within the guild, and second, by level. At this time, aside from the guild leader Lord Grimm, Happy hadn't assigned any other positions yet, so the list was naturally sorted from highest to lowest level. Excluding the top 3, Lord Grimm, Soft Mist, and Windward Formation, they were all level 39. Next, Blue River was taken aback to see 4 of their own Blue Brook Guild's alt accounts mixed in among the ranks. Blue River immediately understood why the 4 of them had been invited into the 20-player team. They were already among the highest level members in the Happy Guild. That's a pretty solid start. A higher level often means a higher status. While they couldn't yet enter Lord Grimm's inner circle, they were certainly much closer than those lower level players. But as Blue River casually scrolled further down the list, he froze. The player levels within the Happy Guild were, shockingly, a complete and utter mess. Blue River's character was level 36, and the other 3 accounts they'd brought were all around that same level. Characters in this level bracket were exceedingly rare in the Happy Guild, which was already pushing 500 members. In the entire Happy Guild, there were only 19 players above level 35. Everyone else was below that. Scrolling to the very bottom, there were even players in their 20s.